it was hard. I was one of the only brown kids in my school. So um it was very much a culture shock because from kindergarten and first grade, I was very sheltered, learned how to ride my bike inside the house, and we went to private school. So going to public school was really different. And especially because like having to get on the bus was something that like kids like think about doing, but don't actually have to do. Well, I ended up having to do that, riding the bus 20 minutes to the school that's surrounded by cornfields, and it was a school that's from K through 12. So it's you literally grow up with these kids.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to graduate and leave certain classmates behind.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, the Sioux Falls kids definitely got to. I mean, within each growing phase, I feel like elementary, middle, and high school, with that new experience. But I'd had enough of the school I'd gone to. So a week into my junior year, I ended up transferring to an even smaller school, and I went to Baltic. So I went to Tri Valley, and there was a class of like 60 some, and I ended up graduating with a class of like 26 or 27.
Wow.
And I was even more of like an outcast at that school than I was at Tri Valley, but I felt more comfortable at Baltic.
Why?
The teachers, and it wasn't a school that was known for its sports or for its abilities in sports, or championships or anything like that. So I feel like there was a lot more pressure to just exist, even though there were still like the jocks. But I don't know, it's a lot more different when it feels like there's a lot more pressure. The school is very competitive. I got made fun of a lot in school for being the only brown kid. I got called poop face for 2 years when I first transferred to South Dakota. So by the time I transferred to Baltic, I was going through the really emo scene kid phase, um, back when like All Time Low and all these other bands were a big thing. And I had my hair like half blonde, half black, and I had lip piercings. And I was like the only kid in my class that had had a tattoo. So I think everyone just had this idea of who I was, but I think it was more or less like a mask to somewhat protect myself from getting emotionally abused again.
So, do you have any siblings?
I have a younger brother, um, and he started at the school I transferred with, and he ended up graduating from there. But he had a different experience. I mean, he had a better close knit group of friends. I never had like a friend growing up my whole life, and he had that experience. So I think it was still he had his difficulties because he wasn't athletic either, but he was um, a Latinx, so dark skin, and he was fat and still is. And so just the fat phobia of children, and just the teasing and the racial slurs. I think he got more of that than I did.